They called the Bronx a wasteland, a concrete jungle of broken dreams and burning buildings. By the early 1970s, the borough had lost 97% of its buildings to fire and abandonment. Landlords, seeking insurance payouts, hired arsonists to torch their own properties. 7 major fires burned every day. But from these ashes, amid the crumbling infrastructure and societal neglect, a phoenix would rise, not through violence, not through politics, but through the raw power of music, dance, and spoken word.
Scared to do some freestyle.
August 11, 1973. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. The address that would become ground zero for a cultural revolution. DJ Kool Herc, born Clive Campbell, stood before 2 turntables in his sister's rec room.
She started me out, okay?
I'm the first hip-hop promoter.
He noticed something that would change music forever. During the instrumental breaks in records, the dancers moved with unprecedented energy. These moments, which he called the get down parts, became the foundation of breakbeat DJing. Herc extended these breaks using 2 copies of the same record, creating what he called the merry-go-round. This wasn't just innovation, it was revelation. The block parties grew larger. Word spread through the borough like electricity through a wire. Herc's back-to-school jam at Cedar Park was the tipping point. Here was something new, something raw, something that belonged to the streets but transcended them. Other DJs took notice. Afrika Bambaataa in the Bronx River houses. Grandmaster Flash in the South Bronx. Each adding their own innovations, their own flavors to this emerging sound. The 4 elements began to crystallize. DJing laid the foundation, but breaking, or b-boying, gave it movement. The dancers, originally called break boys and break girls, took the energy of the music and transformed it into physical poetry. Crews like the Rock Steady Crew, the New York City Breakers, and the Dynamic Rockers turned concrete into canvas. Their battles weren't about violence, they were about style, skill, and soul. MCing evolved from necessity. Early DJs needed someone to hype the crowd, to introduce the next song. But these simple shout-outs evolved into something more complex. Kool Rock, working with Kool Herc, began adding rhymes over the breaks. DJ Hollywood brought his smooth style from the disco scene. Grandmaster Caz wrote rhymes that would later be borrowed by others. The simple act of talking over beats transformed into an art form of complex wordplay, metaphor, and storytelling. Graffiti, the 4th element, had existed before hip-hop, but it became intertwined with the culture. Writers like Phase 2, Tacky 183, and Lee transformed subway cars into moving art galleries. Their work, though illegal, brought color to a gray city, hope to abandoned spaces. The authorities called it vandalism. The community saw it as beautification. The truth, as always, lay somewhere in between. But with growth came commercialization. By the late 1970s, the record industry had taken notice. The Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight proved hip-hop could sell records. Labels rushed to sign acts. Money entered the equation, and with it came new pressures, new temptations. Some saw opportunity, others saw exploitation. The culture faced its first major test: how to maintain authenticity while reaching for broader success.
Celebrates train graffiti painted in New York City over the past 50 years. The revival is no surprise to him.
The 1980s brought new challenges. Crack cocaine hit the streets like a bomb, devastating the very communities that had given birth to hip-hop. Artists faced a dilemma: ignore the chaos or document it. Groups like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five chose the latter. The message wasn't just a song, it was reportage from the front lines of urban America. Run DMC brought a harder edge, matching their sound to the reality of their surroundings. Public Enemy turned rap into protest music, following in the tradition of the Last Poets and Gil Scott-Heron.
My recital, I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right. On time. It's tricky. It's here we go. It's tricky to rock around.
The dangers evolved with the culture. Gang influence seeped into the industry. Record labels sometimes exploited these connections for marketing purposes. Violence became a selling point. The East Coast-West Coast rivalry, fueled by media and misunderstanding, escalated beyond rhymes and into reality. The mid-1990s marked both the highest heights and lowest depths of hip-hop culture. Two artists emerged who would forever change the landscape: Tupac Shakur from the West Coast and Christopher Wallace, the notorious B.I.G., from the East. Their rise represented hip-hop's growing power, but their story would become a cautionary tale about the culture's dangers. What began as artistic rivalry escalated into something darker. Media manipulation, record label politics, and genuine street conflicts created a perfect storm. Death Row Records in the West and Bad Boy Entertainment in the East became more than record labels. They became opposing armies in a conflict that extended far beyond music. The tension exploded into violence. On September 7, 1996, Tupac was shot in Las Vegas, dying 6 days later. On March 9, 1997, Biggie was killed in Los Angeles. Two of hip-hop's brightest lights, extinguished at just 25 and 24 years old. Their deaths forced the culture to confront hard questions. Had the line between art and reality become too blurred? Had authenticity become a deadly trap? The deaths of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. served as tragic wake-up calls. The culture had to look hard at itself and its direction.
I'm too high and I might go off tempo, but now I'm back to let these niggas know just how deep my game.
The shooting death of Tupac Shakur, the rapper's 1996 murder from a drive-by shooting, has remained unsolved.
Since the murder of notorious B.I.G. and a drive-by shooting on an L.A. street rocked the music industry to its core. A quarter of a century later, the slaying remains officially unsolved.
Yet hip-hop's power as a positive force never dimmed. Afrika Bambatata's Universal Zulu Nation promoted knowledge and understanding. Community centers used breaking to keep kids off the streets. KRS-One's Stop the Violence movement showed hip-hop could self-correct. Organizations like the Hip Hop Summit Action Network proved the culture could engage with social issues constructively. For every negative headline, countless positive stories went untold. The digital age brought unprecedented access and opportunity. Anyone with a laptop can now create beats, record rhymes, and distribute their music worldwide. This democratization of hip-hop has given rise to new subgenres, new voices, and new perspectives. Regional sounds from Atlanta to Toronto, from London to Lagos, have transformed the genre into a global conversation. Social media has become the new street corner. TikTok challenges replace dance battles. Instagram lives substitute for radio interviews. The culture adapts and evolves, but questions remain. In this era of instant gratification and viral moments, how do we preserve the depth that made hip-hop revolutionary? How do we balance innovation with respect for tradition? Mental health has emerged as a crucial conversation in modern hip-hop. Artists like Kid Cudi, Logic, and J. Cole have broken down barriers, speaking openly about depression, anxiety, and the pressures of fame. The tough exterior once required in hip-hop has given way to vulnerability and honesty. This new generation shows strength not by hiding their struggles, but by sharing them. Look at how far we've come, from block parties to billion-dollar businesses, from mixtapes to streaming empires. Yet the core remains the same: the voice of the people, the rhythm of the streets, the power to transform pain into poetry, struggle into strength. Thank you for taking this journey through hip-hop history with us. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into music history and culture. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on our latest uploads. Leave a comment below sharing your favorite moment in hip-hop history.